What's going on, lads and lassies? It's Ocean from the South Stand, back again with another victory. Fucking hell. Well, it is another victory. Back again with another video after Sunderland have got yet another victory at home at the Stadium of Light, undefeated there so far this season, which is absolutely fantastic to be able to say. And I've got to say, before we get right into this one, it's probably my favourite victory other than the opening day, which was special for all sorts of reasons, like your return to the Premier League and everything, just the whole day, the atmosphere. Other than that, probably my favourite win of this season so far for many reasons that we'll get into. But look, for just now, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, get involved in the conversation, trying to build a community full of Sunderland fans here over on the South Stand. As per usual, this one's brought to you by the southstandclothing.com, where you can go and get all sorts of Sunderland fanwear, hats, t-shirts, prints, merch, all of the rest over at the southstandclothing.com. Let's get into things. Look, as I alluded to in the intro, this one was actually probably my favourite victory of the season so far. Not that it was faultless, there was definitely things that can be improved on, but you've came off the back of a victory like that and come off being undefeated after 4 home games in the Premier League. And yeah, as I said, being undefeated, it's just fantastic. It's the things that you wish for going into your first season back, but you don't expect by any means. In each game that we go there just seems to be this sort of air around Sunderland that maybe we can go and get something here. We'll see how that one holds up when the likes of Arsenal in that visit. But look, that was right there. Again, brilliant atmosphere heading into this one. Of course, the Keel Crossing opening meant that plenty of people were in and about the city anyway, getting to enjoy the day. But let's just jump right into how the game went. So, starting off with the team lineup. So, for anyone who's kept up with these videos over the last few weeks, you'll know that pretty much since Ronaldo got suspended, the back line that I would have went with was the one that we'd seen today, with Hume on the left, Hume at left back, Mookie Elliott right back, Alderete and Ballard in the middle. It's something that I've been asking for weeks. Wasn't quite sure if we were going to see it though. Just knowing Regis, knowing the way that he likes to change his teams, he tries not to change too much between the starting lineups. Of course, giving people like Masuaku a proper chance in at left back as well. But I'm so glad to see that he changed that coming into this one because, as we all know, in the run up to this game, we had lots of rumours surrounding Alderete and Sadiqi's fitness, and I'd made my pre-match preview last week before that news had came out. So when that news came out, I was kind of like, what does this mean? Because we're heading into a period of very tough fixtures after this, and I kind of felt like coming into this Wales game, it was a kind of game where you need to go out and try and grab 3 points, because people can say that the our fixture list to start the season is easy. It means fuck all if you don't win anything. So I'm glad that coming into this one, we set up in a way that I was really happy with. I'm pretty sure it actually might have been the starting lineup that I predicted. In fact, no, I think I went with Masaraku being in at left back just because I thought that's what Regis would go for. But I did definitely mention what my preferred one would be. So happy to see Enzo starting again on that left wing. And we'll get into, do you know what, we'll just jump right into the reason why I believe that this works so well. So we've seen it today between Siddiqui, Hume, and Enzo Lefay on that left wing. All three of those players were so happy to chop and change roles today, in the sense that there was plenty of time where you're seeing Trey Hume occupying the half spaces almost like a central midfielder. And when he did that, Siddiqui just dropped in and covered him, and Enzo kept pinned down to the left. And whenever one of those changed into the other position, one of the other three would just follow suit, and they were so fluid in how they were able to rotate and just change throughout phases of play and give the game different options. I think it also makes it really hard for the other team to mark you and to predict you, because they may set you up man for man and put some guy on Hume, put whoever on Lefay, but if that's not who's in those positions when they get there, it can really cause a lot of problems for other teams. And this fluidity between the players, between how they're able to play in different sort of positions, like there was times today, in fact, when we look back at Sunderland's first goal, the actual goal that counted, not the one that was disallowed, you'll see that the three players furthest back were Alderete, Siddiqui, and Xhaka. Like, it's just the players that we have in these positions are so happy to occupy other spaces. It's now we're starting to see a Sunderland where the system is becoming well drilled in and people understand exactly what the role's meant to be. And that is one of the main reasons it's my probably favourite victory outside that West Ham game at the start of the season, because of these things, because we're starting to see these patterns of play in this system really embed itself in, so that every player feels confident. They know the role of any of the other players. So we come into this game, the first 30 minutes, Sunderland are in pretty much full control. I will say in that first few minutes there was a few wayward passes and incompleted passes. It did give me a kind of fright for the first 30 seconds because I thought, oh God, please don't tell me we're in for another Man United game. But quickly that dispersed, and within 8 minutes you see Sunderland had thought that we'd went up 1-0 through a Wilson Isidore strike. Now, coming into this one, I'm going to upload some sort of graphic here to show you exactly what I'm talking about. But when we did think we'd scored before it was offside, and actually, let me just say this, how annoying is it when refs don't blow the whistle or when linesmen don't blow their whistle as soon as something's clearly offside? Because you see Wilson go through it and you say, that's offside, but when they don't call it and he's allowed to get 3, 4, 5, 6 touches on the ball, you start believing, and then he smacks it in with his left foot in the top corner like that, and I'm celebrating a goal that I don't even need to celebrate if they just bloody blow offside when it's supposed to be offside. Anyway, rant over. We'll talk about the part that I really enjoyed. In the build up to this game, I want to just highlight Noah Siddiqui throughout the build up towards that first goal. Never mind he got what would have been the assist in the fact. We see it, Siddiqui starts off with the ball, passes it over to Xhaka, makes it back to Ballard, then we see Mukiele come in to meet the ball again, notices that he's getting closed down, passes it back to Ballard, passes it back to Xhaka, who's then able to make the ball back to Ballard. And this whole time, Siddiqui's completely switched on, creates himself loads of space. So by the time Alderete actually receives the ball, Siddiqui's completely unmarked. And look, I've not obviously moved everyone back in line to show you the full ball, but you can see now where that ball then goes through for Isidore, who's able to go and play through. Obviously, in real life, he was actually offside. I've just not bothered moving Kelechi and Bueno back down to really show you in the graphic. But you can see from that there, it was Siddiqui the whole time. And if you rewatch that 15 seconds of play, he dictates that whole period of play, pointing, moving, pointing. Like, he was all over it, and he was so special again today. Like, he's unbelievable. And again, that plays in, I think, half of his good bits of the fact that when Hume pushes up and is occupying those inner channels right outside the opposition's box, Siddiqui's happy to cover him. When Enzo is going inside and Hume's still at fullback, Siddiqui's happy to go out and play in the wing. He's just everywhere, and he's always everywhere. But you can see that these systems of play aren't just to him, it's everywhere in the field. We see that Xhaka often mirrors this on the opposite side, where him, in this instance, Mukiele, Traore, Ballard, all of them are able to interchange and play in different positions on that side as well today. And I thought it was fantastic the way we're moving the ball about. And I think as well, what I loved more than anything was the fact that in possession, we were moving the ball around with speed. And I don't think it's something Sunderland have done enough when in possession of the ball over the last year, basically, that Regis has been in charge. We seem to oftentimes be slow in the build up. In fact, there's no better example of us being slow in the build up than against Burnley. And yes, it's hard to break these sorts of teams down, but it's way harder when you allow them to get set. And Sunderland didn't allow Wolves a chance to get set today. Everything was moving around super quickly. But look, disallowed goal aside, we then don't have to wait much longer. Sunderland, as I said, in complete control over the first 15, 20, 30 minutes. Only actually takes until 16 minutes for Nordi Mukiele to break the deadline. And again, I'm going to talk here and ramble about the things that made me so happy about this goal. But for anyone who's watched me since the start of the season, they'll know that although, of course, throughout the first few games, I was absolutely buzzing with the goals we were getting, my concern was that the actual patterns of play and the way we were playing throughout the rest of the 90 minutes, we didn't show a lot of support to our striker. We were leaving Wilson isolated up front, hence why often our goals were coming just from set pieces. Over the last few games, whether we've won or not, we're building up a far better system when it comes to attacking. Again, I'm going to include some sort of graphic here so you can keep track of what I'm saying and how I'm seeing the game play out. I'm going to be looking down at my iPad here, so forgive me. But you can see from how I've set this up here, Enzo Lefebvre receives this ball over on the left-hand side, and Enzo does what Enzo does best and starts kind of giving these dummies to and from. He then manages to take the ball with him down towards the byline, and we can see here, if we just pause and talk about this frame quickly, from what you can see in this, look at Wilson Isidore and look at the Sunderland player who's up alongside him as the furthest forward player. Big Dan Ballard, yet again. And we're talking about a centre half who's occupying the same spaces as your striker, not just this time as well. This wasn't a one off. This isn't because it's circumstantial of how the game was set up now. We do this repeatedly through Dan Ballard, through Omar Alderete. We constantly give these big lads the space and time and freedom to be able to get up there, and that's how the system's set up. So, not for the first time, you'll see Dan Ballard pushing alongside Wilson Isidore here. And what this does is it drags two of the Wolves back four into mark just Dan Ballard. That disruption creates so much space for Sunderland. I mean, if you look at Traore over on that back line there, you'll see that he's basically completely unmarked and he's got allowed all that freedom because Gomez drops in to cover Chris Rigg, who's sitting there. Not only can you see that Traore's in a hell of a lot of room, but Trey Hume, as he often did throughout this game, is occupying basically what you'd assume is going to be Granit Xhaka's role. But as I said, it was Xhaka, Alderete, and Siddiqui of all people who were the three furthest people back. And that, again, all throughout different times of the match today, we've seen that back three and the people who were left back rotating all the time. I mean, at one point in the 46th minute, when Chris Rigg recovers a ball, he recovers a ball alongside, I think, he recovers a ball alongside Alderete and Trey Hume, or Granit Xhaka and Trey Hume. But basically, it's three of the smallest in physical stature, three of the smallest players that we have back there defending, and it's Chris Rigg of all people who gets it. But look, back to the point, you'll see here from in this diagram here how much room Trey Hume's allowed to have at the edge of the box because Dan Ballard's he's completely disrupted that Wales defence, and not only Dan Ballard, but of course Wales are looking at that and going, hold on, why is your right back away up at your left wing offering support to your left winger? Northern Mukiele and his movements caused Wales so much trouble today. So let's just click on and see this. So we see that Enzo Lefebvre has the ball, brings it over to Northern Mukiele, who ends up finding room here. So Enzo Lefebvre finds Mukiele with the ball, who then looks up, sees Trey Hume in absolute abundance of space, passes the ball over to Hume, who's able to come meet it. Sorry, I'll quickly fix where they are. But then because Hume's on it, we see the two Wolves players come towards the ball yet again. Mukiele is able to make a simple run in behind. Perfect timing from Hume to make sure he's still onside. And then, of course, we see Mukiele bobble the ball between Sam Johnson's legs. I know the way I'm showing that and the way I'm using the JLA platform, which is a very good platform, might I add. Shout out to James Alcott for building that. But the way I'm using it might not show things the best, but I hope you can see what I'm talking about here. And that is Sunderland's best example of a well-worked team goal so far this season. It reminds me of a lot of the ways we've been able to score through Dennis Surkin and the likes of them in the Championship. I didn't imagine Sunderland being able to embed those styles of play and systems into play in the Premier League so quickly, but I just can't talk enough about the quality of these players, in particular the quality of all four of those defenders. They were just phenomenal, just phenomenal. Trey Hume and his ability to come in those inner channels, play those sorts of balls. I mean, that's an inch perfect assist from Trey. Not only him, but the fact that, of course, Mukiele was absolutely everywhere today. The fact that Dan Ballard's playing as a second striker and a centre half at the same time. The fact that Omar Alderete could just beat any man he wants and pass to whoever he wants. It's just phenomenal. And the quality of that back line. I think Regis genuinely has some trouble in his hands when it comes to wondering if we're going to bring Ronaldo back into the lineup. And it's just so hard for me to even pick as well because I think all four of those five defenders that we're talking about, so the four lads that started this game plus Ronaldo, offer so much to the game, and we've seen it. I mean, I just don't think I've ever seen a centre back as goal hungry as Dan Ballard is, and it's just phenomenal. And again, talking of the likes of Siddiqui and Enzo Lefebvre, and both of their abilities to just work so hard. Like Enzo Lefebvre, the smallest guy in the field, been able to slide and tackle and win back the ball with his ball recovery all over the field. The fact as well, you'll see it multiple times in this match, Enzo Lefebvre just slides in the back line, just slips into a back five. Like, you are 4 foot fuck all. Like, how are you here doing this? And he does manage it every single time. So for me, that's why this was one of my favourite wins this season. Probably my favourite win if you take away the sentimental aspect of that one against West Ham. If you take away the sentimental aspect of that win against West Ham, and of course it was a phenomenal win, 3-0, clean sheet, opening game of the season, brilliant. But for these reasons and the reasons that I've talked about, the fluidity and the ability to change change between positions in this system, for me, that's why it's one of my favourite ones this year. And then, of course, we go on just a few minutes later. They don't even stop on that. The lads keep on pushing. We've seen it during the week. Regis Sabris came out with a quote that he wants to see his players go for 2 goals because 1 goal is just not enough. And we've seen them a few moments later. Dennis Surkin was doing his best to impersonate Trey Hume was doing his best to impersonate Dennis Irkin's flying headers and hits the woodwork. Oh, it was unbelievable. It would have been amazing to see that one go in just a few minutes after the first. And yet, again, I sound like a broken record here. It was all Dan Ballard again. He had five Wolves defenders occupying him. Like five Wolves defenders trying to beat Dan Ballard to the ball and losing. Like, I honestly just can't say enough about it. For anyone who watched my match review against Man United, you'll know that for all the things that I thought Traore offered going forward, his defensive abilities and his work rate off the ball wasn't for me. But let me just say, I think this game he definitely tried a lot harder. He tracked back a lot more. I think it's just no surprise to see that a lot of Sunderland's plays building up through that left hand side at the minute, and I think that's just because all players on that left hand side are able to swap and change with each other, and Siddiqui can cover left back and he can cover these roles and offer defensive support basically. I don't think Traore offers that same ability over on the right hand side for Mukiele and the likes to take advantage of. But I still thought he had a far better game against Wolves here than he did against Man United. For me, that's becoming one of my favourite things about this Sunderland team. Anything that they've got to learn from the games before, they try and learn from it. Like, they truly do try and learn from it. Even just then talking about Traore and he's tracking back, he's clearly had that spoke to him during the week and fixed it up because he was physically working so much harder. And yes, we can go on to talk about the likes of Traore, the likes of Chris Rigg, multiple players throughout the squad, even Granit Xhaka in the first 15 minutes, just misplacing the ball with careless passes and turning over the ball really quickly. We see that just needs to be tidied up. Like, it's not going to be an every single game thing, but it just needs to be tidied up because a better team than that probably would have taken advantage of it. And we've seen just after half time, Wolves had like a 20-minute period of their own where they were all over us and they were able to come forward with wave after wave of attack. Luckily for us, though, I think we were playing a team that was just short of confidence. Wolves couldn't have bought a goal today. And it's not because they weren't getting the ball up our end and they weren't able to at least get in and around the area. They just genuinely could not get the ball on target. And lucky enough for us, because I think we did let things become a bit too messy just after half time. We didn't take care of the ball well enough. And I think, honestly, the likes of Traore and Chris Rigg probably could have came off 5-10 minutes earlier. The both of them just looked a bit gassed in terms of fitness. But then, look, we get to bring on Shara here, Trauda, and we brought on Chemsine Talby as well, who, again, lads that are having a phenomenal game when they come on, and that's it. We've actually got a bit of squad depth where we can offer something after half time and we still have something to give. And that's the thing that I'm thinking about most when it comes to this discussion about Chemsine Talby starting, because everyone knows I've been kind of shouting for him to keep on being in that starting lineup just because I can see it, I can see the rawness. And when you've not got someone like a main bundle who's got that burst of pace and able to get past someone, I really like having that type of profile in the squad, and Chemsteen offers you that. And he offers you an abundance when he's on the left hand side. I mean, I think just his ability to cut inside and get past his man, you can see it's there, and it shows far more when he's on the left. I find it very interesting that he's a right winger at his previous clubs, and that's where he's always played because he genuinely looks more confident on that left hand side. But yeah, he came on, and I'm stuck between thinking that he should be starting still or sticking with that starting lineup that we had today because it offers something after the break, because it offers something when we're using our substitutions. Because yeah, I don't know. It's hard because Enzo works so hard and he's amazing, but then put him in central midfield. If you had Enzo in central midfield instead of Chris Rigg, do we think that Enzo and then Traore would have worked any better on that side and we can start Chemsteen in the left? I'm not 100% sure. So it does leave me with loads of questions as to whether he's going to be starting, not because I don't think he's not capable, more so because I just think game management and how we were able to change that game when things started getting away from us a little was just really important, and you need that in a Premier League game. It's not just about your start 11, it's about your whole squad. So when Talby does offer something so much coming off the bench, it's really hard to decide whether or not you're going to go that way and start with him. But again, I thought this was one of the games where Reggie's got it spot on, and I think him and the coaching squad are doing a real good job developing this team of great players into a great squad and with great chemistry, and it's shown week upon week. I honestly just cannot sing the praises of that back line enough. I thought they were unbelievable today, and Nordi Mukiele takes the crown with that one because of his goal. And we've seen it with Chelsea and Talby. Isn't it funny that I spoke last week about Krejci being my player to watch from Wales, and he goes ahead and scores for Sunderland? So thanks, lad. You must have watched that video and seen the compliments I was giving you, and just decided to put one in the back of the net for the lads anyway. But thanks, we appreciate it. The South Stand got their goal for the day. But yeah, I think Talby was deserving of getting something, but he just came on anyway. So good on him for managing to get Sunderland. I don't know, an own goal assist, I guess. But look, that's all I wanted to talk about today. Of course, I'll upload the preview for the next match later on in the week. But I find it hard to sit and talk about the negatives of Sunderland when this for me had so much positives. Even if it wasn't perfect, it never is perfect. But even when it's not perfect, it's so much positives to take from today's game, and just a massive, massive win before we go into this next period. And yeah, we look at Sunderland and the way they're sitting stats wise, like how Sunderland players are comparing. I think Northern Mukiele is the highest rated player in the Premier League behind only Erling Haaland so far this season, which again phenomenal. And it's a guy that costs us 10 million quid. So I just can't sing the praises enough after this game. I think there's so much positives to take from that, and it genuinely makes me look forward to the rest of the season. Not that I think we get Arsenal come to the stadium if like we put on the same performance. I'm not saying that by any means. Anyone who's watched me knows that I'm a pretty fair Sunderland like kind of fan. I'm pretty balanced. I bring out the good points, bring out the bad points, but for me, this is just such a sign of progress, such a massive sign of progress, and getting those points, 14 points, before we go into such a hard period of fixtures, just unbelievable. So, look, that's all I've got to talk about in today's video. Get involved in the comments below. How did you feel about this game? What were your highlights of the match? Did you enjoy the team selection? Would you keep the team selection for the next game? Let me know down below. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. How are the lads? Come on.